the speakers and participants. It's already 2:32 CST time, and I think we can slowly start. By the time we can ask you to put in the chat where you come from and what you do, so that our panel speakers get an idea about the audience we have today. Okay. Let's start. I'm excited to welcome you today to the OTTERS webinar on the role of education in citizen science. My name is Aida Papikyan, and I'm representing the OTTERS project, which is funded by the European Union. The webinar today is dedicated to the Blue education and curriculum in schools. We are aiming to present citizen science projects that focus on education and try to find synergies among them. Today, we will have 5 panel speakers. Sorry, I need to start sharing my screen. I completely forgot about it. So here you can see our agenda. And we will have 5 panel speakers who will present the initiatives they lead and share their experiences in fostering Blue education. During the presentations, you can put the questions you may have in the chat. We will have our Q&A session after the presentations, where you can also ask your questions by unmuting your microphones, but I would like to ask you to raise your hand first. We will commence with our first speaker, Ms. Priscilla Doran. Priscilla has a postgraduate degree in psychology of education, a master's degree in human biology and environment, and a degree in biology. She's a certified teacher trainer in Portugal in the areas of educational psychology, biology, and environmental sciences. She has been a member of Nucleo since 2011, where she is part of the management board, leading teams and coordinating projects related to innovation in education. Priscilla is currently part of the OTTERS team, and she is responsible for education and capacity building in the project, about which she will talk today. Please, Priscilla.
Hi, everyone. I see that we have a lot of people coming in while you are talking. This is ringing in my ears. So it's really nice to have this amazing audience. I'm going to share my screen too. Can you confirm, Aida, that you can see my screen very well?
Yes, it's perfect.
Okay. So welcome, everyone. As I said, this is amazing to have such a nice audience with us. As Aida asked, please talk to us through the chat. We will have a Q&A session in the end, but we can also answer your questions in the chat. It's a pleasure to be here with you. I'm sorry, I'm trying to change the slide. Okay. So today here I have the pleasure to be representing the OTTERS team, which is this beautiful team that you can see in the picture. We are a project composed of 12 partners from 9 countries spread across Europe. And the aim of the project is to promote societal transformation for marine and freshwater stewardship through scaling up citizen science. I expect that many people haven't heard of the term citizen science, or some are curious. So before I talk more about what the project actually is, I'm just going to give a very brief introduction to the concept. There isn't really a full description or definition of what citizen science is, but it basically means involving citizens in the scientific process. And this can be done in any of the phases of the process. Citizens can actually be the leaders and the coordinators of these initiatives. So citizen science aims to involve people and to open the doors to the power of people in the scientific domain. And this is important in many ways. For example, it can help society to increase the amount of data that is collected regarding whatever topics we may think about and decrease the costs associated to collecting data. It can improve the transparency and the accuracy of this data because sometimes not everyone has access or understands how the data was collected. It has a huge role in democratizing science. By involving everyone, it can make science a universal access for everyone. And it is very, very important if we want to successfully measure the development of the Sustainable Development Goals. For this reason, in the past few years, we are seeing a huge increase in citizen science initiatives. These are pictures from different projects that show the increase of initiatives during the past few years. And this is where OTTERS comes in, because this means that today we have lots of different projects with lots of data in lots of different formats with lots of different people, and there is no common ground. So OTTERS is a project that is funded through the European Horizon mission, Restore Our Ocean and Waters. So it is contributing to several sustainable development goals related to water, but not just those related to water, to others as well. And it aims to promote a common ground among the different standalone citizen science initiatives in the world, in the EU. So it aims to foster best practices, common methods, and standards among these initiatives so that it can improve the accessibility and usage of data. It aims to design spring to sea campaigns. This means campaigns that aggregate existing citizen science initiatives in the same region to promote them, to support them, and to scale up their efforts as well related to water. And most of all, specifically for this webinar, OTTERS aims to engage citizens in the educational community to contribute to changing hearts and minds in relation to the water domains. But how is citizen science and education related? How they can benefit each other? Can they actually do so? The answer is yes, and I'm going to try at least my best to explain how and why. So if we think about it, this is what education most probably looked like many, many years ago. Kids would learn through their full involvement in their community, and while they were learning, they were actually contributing to their society. And then the world evolved, or kind of, and we created this whole other educational system where kids are inside a living room during many hours of the day and for many years of their lives, where they don't contribute much to the world, but they are learning everything that they need so that when they come out of school, they are fully prepared for their jobs. And this worked during the Industrial Revolution. We knew exactly what jobs the students were going to take when they came out of school, and school was preparing them for that. But the world continues evolving. Earth continues spinning around the sun and itself, and now we have computers and smartphones and tablets, and we have the internet. We have dozens of social media platforms, we have search engines, and now we have open artificial intelligence, bringing this system to everyone. So society evolved. We are not living in the same society that lived through the Industrial Revolution. Kids are not the same, their needs are different. However, educational systems, to their most, remain quite the same. So we are using a system that is preparing kids for their future jobs. But what jobs? We don't even know what jobs anymore. We don't even know what jobs will exist when many of the students come out of school. I got always confused when I say this. Another very important theme is the Sustainable Development Goals. They are fantastic and everyone is working towards them. But I would like to invite you to reflect a little bit about the fact that in plain 21st century, we are still fighting poverty. We have so much technology, we have robots, we have artificial intelligence, and we are still fighting hunger in the world. Worst of all, we are in the halftime point of the Sustainable Development Goals, and only 15% of them seem to be on track. This gives us a huge urgency to do something about our education. We need to transform education so that it can actually prepare citizens who are capable of dealing with this, who are prepared to live in a world of disinformation and information, who are adaptable enough to thrive in a world of uncertainty, who are prepared to bring new ways of thinking and of solving problems, because the ones we have today are clearly not working. And most of all, citizens that believe in themselves and enough in their ideas that they can share their ideas and work towards them. And if we ask students, these two studies show that most of the students are not happy with their education. They surveyed many students from many countries, and students are saying that education is not preparing them with the skills and competencies that they need to be able to thrive in their future. And we need to do something about this. The whole society needs to work together if we want to achieve something. It doesn't all fall into the hands of educators. We need to all work together. And citizen science is a very strong and powerful tool for this. Citizen science has the power to bring students closer to the contemporary problems in their communities. It has the power to involve them deeply in science so they understand the process and, most importantly, they trust in science. It promotes the active learning of the school curricula. This means that they are not just learning through textbooks and their computers, but they are actually applying in the field what they are learning. So it brings meaning to the learning process and makes them more engaged and motivated in their education. It can help promote several life competencies like critical thinking, problem solving, and several other competencies. And it can motivate action. It has the power to show students that they can actually do something to solve the problems of the world. It fosters active citizenship. But schools are not just a place to develop competencies in students. Schools can actually be powerful hubs for community development. With the right partnerships, with the right training, this can happen. In 2021, 20% of the European population was represented by students. This means around 91 million people who are now here and ready to act and ready to contribute. And we all love to talk about education like an investment in the future. I am guilty of this. I always say that we are investing in the future, but maybe we should stop doing this and we should start considering that students are here now and their ideas are very valid and they can make a difference. If we give them the chance, they might surprise us. So schools are very important in the field of citizen science. They can contribute to generate more data. They can bring awareness to the community, involve their families, their friends, and everyone in the process. They can bring sustainability to citizen science campaigns. And in OTTERS, we are very happy to invite and involve the educational community to work with us in co-creating a roadmap to integrate citizen science in a systematic way in the school's curriculum. We are doing this through several activities that we are organizing for and with educators. We had engagement activities in Portugal with lots of participants from spread around the country, as you can see in this map. We talked about citizen science. We talked about their prior knowledge. We did an analysis of their strengths, their challenges, opportunities, and threats. And we have a full report of our findings. So if someone wants to receive them, please feel free to write in the chat or to send me an email. We're more than happy to share. And we did a very fun co-creation session with them, where they selected a citizen science initiative around their school. And together, schools in the same region worked together to map the subject domains and the curriculum content that they can teach their students through participating in each citizen science campaign. So OTTERS will run for at least 1 more year, and we are welcoming all the educators and the whole educational community that wants to participate with us. We have more engagement activities coming up, not just in Portugal, but in several other countries too. We have training courses for professional development of teachers. We are going to engage teachers in the co-creation of a roadmap to integrate citizen science in the curriculum. We will have pilot activities where we are going to support educators to develop projects with their students, involving their community and participating in citizen science. And all those that will be with us will have access to resources, to guidance, to support, and will receive a certificate of participation in the project. So if you are an educator and you would like to participate with us in OTTERS and become part of this community, you can use this QR code, but I will also put this link on the chat after I finish talking. You are more than welcome. No matter your country, we will accommodate you. If you're not an educator, but you are a scientist or you represent a citizen science initiative, or you're simply interested in collaborating with us, please send me an email. We are also very happy to accommodate you. And I will finish my talk now, sharing with you our social platforms in case you want to follow us. And I am more than happy to welcome the next speakers.
Thank you, Priscilla, for a very engaging presentation. Now, please let me share my screen and present our next speaker to you. Ms. Ana Vitoria Teresa de Magalhães is Ocean Literacy Associate Program Specialist for Intergovernmental Oceanographic Commission at UNESCO. Ana Vitoria is responsible for the Blue Education initiatives. Ana has a background in marine spatial planning from the International Itinerant Master Erasmus Mundus and is currently following a post-graduation in diplomatic studies by IBMEC Brazil. She will present the Blue Curriculum Initiative today. Please, Ana, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Aida. Thank you so much. And congratulations to Priscilla that did a very interesting presentation now. Indeed, there are many things that remain the same in the education, and also the ocean is not so much present on the curriculum. That's something that I also will bring to you now. So 1 second that I will share my slides. Okay, so well, as Aida mentioned, I work in IUC UNESCO mainly with the topic of blue education and also blue schools. And there is a project that we started, an initiative actually that we started 2 years ago, which is called a blue curriculum. This was done because we realized also that there was a need for ocean literacy presence on the curriculum, or a more presence of the ocean in the national school curriculums across the world. And then we created this toolkit in cooperation also with AXA that at the time supported this project. So this toolkit is mainly a material that we developed for policymakers, mainly policymakers in touch with education policies. And it's a material that aims to support those that are in the backstage also developing educational policies, as well governments that are in touch with curriculum issues or curriculum developers, to become more aware also of those topics that concern ocean literacy. In this toolkit, we included some good practices from different countries of the world, some countries that already have, for example, a solid blue school project such as Portugal, but we also have some other examples like Costa Rica or Kenya, and as well as Canada, which are also on the path of developing ocean literacy activities connected to the curriculum. And this material was as well mentioned during the One Ocean Summit in Brest in France, where UNESCO also promoted a call to support the incorporation of ocean literacy into the school curriculum by 2025. This was a call to all the UNESCO member states. And this material is also present now in English and French and Spanish. So you, as well as teachers, can be supporters of this initiative. In case you are, for example, in touch with a government, you can also support the dissemination of this material. And I leave for you also the QR code for you to download, but I can send this material as well via email once we finish the presentation. The ambition for a blue curriculum that we defined in this document is mainly, first of all, this goal of including more ocean contents, or an approach 360-degree for ocean literacy in the school curriculum and school contents. support stakeholders to take more informed decisions addressing ocean literacy through formal education, because what we see is that generally the ocean is not even mentioned as a word in the curriculum. But also one objective of this material was to prepare the next generations, and was a very good point that Priscilla brought in her presentation, because today we are as well preparing children for the future and for the next careers that they will follow in the future, but we still don't know the formats and the shapes that those professions will have, that those careers will have. So bringing ocean literacy to the curriculum can also support a more updated approach to the maritime as well ocean careers that can be connected to the marine environment. And this material as well supports and empower governments, policymakers, and educational stakeholders to promote this type of initiative locally. When we developed the toolkit for policymakers, we thought about this theory of change approach. We didn't want ocean literacy also, I mean, only to be present in the curriculum as just a content inside of the classroom, but to provide a more holistic approach, because ocean literacy can take many forms and different shapes. So one of the approaches that we took in this theory of change, and we provide also many examples of that in our toolkit, is the knowledge and awareness. So on a way that a student can learn about the ocean, but as well later act using this information. We as well provide in the toolkit some examples of nature connectedness activities, and this is a very good example of how citizen science can be integrated in the curriculum. So students also can learn more about the ocean being outside of the classroom, visiting, for example, a mangrove, visiting a coral reef, visiting a local ecosystem and a coastal ecosystem. And on this way, they can have also different types of learning approaches. Ocean literacy can also be connected to values and attitudes. So not only, as mentioned, via the knowledge that you get from the classroom, but also through the values and attitudes that you use on your daily basis, and through the competences as well that you as a citizen as well can incorporate into your daily life. This blue curriculum approach has as well many possibilities, especially for countries, when regards how to incorporate ocean literacy into this national curriculum structure. And here a member state or a country can decide where to incorporate ocean literacy. It can be through the perspective of tourism. For example, if a country has a strategy to develop tourism activities over the next 20 years. So ocean literacy can also be connected to this perspective, or can have as well a human rights approach, or a job creation approach, or a blue growth, or climate change, etc., etc. So this is to show that a national curriculum that also takes into account ocean literacy can have diverse approaches for ocean literacy that considers culture and society, economic affairs, science, welfare, health, as well as environment, and the connection of those areas. And this approach can be as well combined to the scope and sequence for a blue curriculum. So when this national strategy later arrive to the schools, it's important to understand that the ocean literacy approach can have a different and ample connection to the disciplines that the students can have. One example is sciences, but as well mathematics, physics, history, literature. There are many examples of how the ocean was present across history and literature, biology, as well geography. And in sciences, mainly it's an approach that can be connected to citizen science initiatives. So it's also possible to connect those initiatives with the different levels of elementary, middle, or high school, and through the different lenses. So from knowledge and awareness, outdoor education, values and attitudes, as well as competences. And this is a quote from our Director General of UNESCO, so Ms. Audrey Azoulay. She mentioned it in the last year that the ocean is yet not present in the school curriculum. And the basis for that was the Blue Curriculum Toolkit, as well other materials that we took as a basis to develop this material. So yet the ocean as even a word is not mentioned in many curriculum structures. So we have a long path to empower the educational sector also to promote this type of initiative. But with this call from UNESCO as well, this can be a change. So in July as well, we started a process with our member states in July of last year, where we sent a circular letter to our member states as a call to include ocean literacy in the school curriculum by 2025, part of the Education for Sustainable Development Initiative. And this letter was as well sent as an attachment letter from the Ambassador Peter Thompson as well. So you can also check this material. I can also send it to you. And this is an effort that we are also doing as an intergovernmental organization to support the inclusion of ocean literacy in the curriculum. In this context, this year we also started to establish the Blue Schools Global Network. We know that there are many Blue Schools and many different hubs for Blue Schools, so national coordinations for Blue Schools taking place nationally in many countries, as well in the EU. So we thought was with this community, there was time as well to create a platform so everyone can discuss, can exchange practices. And the main goals of the Blue Schools Global Network are to define a common standards for creating a Blue School project, as well as national coordination. We cannot call a Blue School a project of, for example, 1 hour, but a Blue School is really a 360 approach that involves a whole community that is in connection with the school environment. So defining those common standards is very important. We are also strengthening collaboration among countries, so connecting the different national coordinations between themselves, as well as teachers and partners of this network. We are as well supporting the new emerging Blue Schools networks and the existing ones with specialized mentorship, for example. And we are working on the creation of a platform for this community. So as well, we can share practices, share resources, train teachers, and develop as well calls for funding our projects. So this is as well a community. You are all also invited to know more. The Blue Schools today is present in all of those countries that you can see on the map. There are countries with national networks established, others emerging, and there is the regional network of EU, the European Union. So today we have around 1,261 schools involved in this project, 2,240 teachers, and 8,400 students. And those numbers were collected with a survey that we did with this community this year. So the numbers grow every day, but the last data that we have is this one. And there are many diverse possibilities that a national coordination, for example, for a Blue School can have. It can be inside of a government, it can be inside of a specialized or technical organization that is part of a government. It can be hosted inside of a school, as is the case of Namibia, for example. It can be as a committee of diverse organizations, or it can be as well managed by a different type of organization, such as an NGO. So it's possible to have different shapes and different possibilities for a national coordination in the Blue School. And this environment today is very rich because we see those many possibilities for creating a national coordination. And we have as well, as part of this project, the Lighthouse projects. Those are projects mainly in touch with the educational community that host many schools that support the Blue Schools as promoters of this idea. Well, so the Blue Schools are part of our work, but we also have different materials that are also target for teachers and for the educational community. I can leave some of them later, even by email to all of you. One of them is the Ocean Literacy for All, a toolkit. Probably some of you already know. For those that don't know this material yet, I invite you to explore it because it's a very intuitive guide for teachers. Here we also have lesson plans and examples as well of citizen science activities. We have a publication which is the state of the art of ocean literacy, which showcases somehow how ocean literacy is being developed across the world, the Blue curriculum that I mentioned to you, the toolkit for policymakers, and we have a recent material that was just published, which is collaborating with the ocean. This is report that we created. It's mainly targeting the private sector that it's now working with corporate responsibility activities as well, ESG. So this is a material that we developed as well for the private sector to better evaluate the proposals that arrive to them when regards ocean literacy. So this is a material as well that can be important for all of you developing citizen science initiatives that, for example, can be funded by the private sector. So I invite you also to discover more with this publication. And we have as well this year developed the Venice Declaration. This is a declaration that mainly aims to support the governments of Costa Rica and France, but also other member states to support the inclusion of ocean literacy in the next UN Ocean Conference that will take place in Nice in France next year. So the community of ocean literacy also believes it's important to have ocean literacy as a pillar of this next UN Ocean Conference. So this declaration is mainly advocating for that. You can as well read the material if you scan this QR code. And you will see also the different forms that ocean literacy can take. One of them as well through the lens of education, of formal education. So I invite you also to be part of this document. This is a living document, so we are also still accepting feedbacks to that until the conference that will take place in June next year. And I thank you so much. I leave my contact to all of you in case you wish to know more about Blue Schools as well, Blue Education, Blue Curriculum initiatives. And just last thing that I wish to say is that UNESCO as well has a protocol for citizen science initiatives, especially regarding eDNA. So that's as well one of the types of activities that Blue Schools or even schools interested in promoting education for sustainable development can organize. And I'm happy also to share that with you later. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ana Vitoria, for your very informative presentation and for putting all resources for our audience. Please, if you are interested in ocean literacy and integrating Blue curriculum in your further practices, make sure to follow UNESCO IOC for updates and toolkits. Now, I would like to present our next panel speaker. By the way, I saw a question from Coco Gonzalez about activities in Mediterranean, about which Melita will talk today. And Melita is a marine biologist, PhD, and assistant professor working at the Department of Ecology, Agronomy, and Aquaculture at the University of Zadar. in Croatia, where she teaches at the Underwater Science and Technology and Sustainable Management of Aquatic Ecosystems programs. She was a vice president of the European Marine Science Educators Association, MC, and a coordinator of the regional MC Mediterranean group. She's an ocean literacy expert working in this field since 2015, and her ocean literacy work focuses on advancing ocean literacy in the Mediterranean basin. Melita will talk about the ocean literacy and blue education initiatives for teachers. Please take the floor, Melita.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me, and it's really a pleasure to be here today. So I will share the screen. Hopefully everything will work. It worked before the beginning of the webinar, so should work again. Yeah. Okay, so do you see my screen?
Yes.
So, okay. So thank you once again. And before I start, I would just like to say that it's really nice to see. I looked a little bit in the chat where people come from, and it's really a diverse group coming from all around the world. Regarding my engagement in ocean literacy and blue education, there are a lot of things that are going on, and really in the recent years, all the work that has been done in this field led to many projects that are actually being very active right now. So I just wanted to share several initiatives that I'm involved in regarding blue education. And I will just go through all of them. So one of the projects that was aiming, and it still lasts until September this year, is the Blue Minds for Teachers. Blue Minds for Teachers is a project that is focused on promoting ocean literacy among teachers and in education. And helping actually teachers to implement ocean literacy in their everyday work. So through the project, we organized just recently in April a webinar, a series of 3 webinars where the content of ocean literacy was introduced to teachers, but also pedagogical methods and different methodologies on how to teach actually ocean literacy. So as much as we know that implementing ocean literacy in the curriculum is crucial, because until it's not there, teachers will hardly teach that marine topics, but it's also, so that's kind of a top-down approach, but it's also very important to have that bottom-up approach and to provide teachers with informations, with resources, with pedagogical methodologies and ways of teaching to empower teachers to really accept these, let's say, new marine and blue education and freshwater as well topics to engage more into teaching that, because otherwise it will be very difficult to engage teachers to really teach blue topics. So apart from the webinar, where we also had many participants participating from different regions, we are now in the process of developing a digital toolkit, which will provide teachers with examples of class activities for different ocean literacy principles. So for each principle, there will be an example of an activity.
Apologies.
Yeah, everything okay? Yeah.
Apologies, Melita, if you're trying to move the slides, we're only seeing the title slide.
So I am on the second slide. You don't see the second slide?
Now it changed.
It's about the projects. Do you see it?
Yes, we see the project.
Okay, good.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. So apart from, so that's what we are now working on the development of the digital toolkit, and all the materials and resources will be also available online. Apart from Blue Minds for Teachers, there are now 3 big Horizon projects, and Ellie will talk about one of them just after. So these are Blue Lights Project, ProBlue, and SHORE, which are all focusing on and contributing to delivering the objects of EU's Mission Ocean. So the Blue Lights Project is also focusing on developing and promoting blue education in schools, increasing the number of European blue schools, and also integrating more marine topics and freshwater topics in education. So there will also be several experimentation countries where Croatia will be also one of them. So we are planning through the project to deliver many different things. But for instance, in Croatia, we are trying to make connections between the ministry, the teacher training agency, the teachers and schools and principals to really showcase what is existing in already in non-formal part of education, the activities that a lot of NGOs, for example, or academia or research institution that they really provide. But there are very few or no connections with the schools. So we want to share that knowledge and to really make connections between different educational stakeholders. So that's regarding the blue lights. And one project that is not actually focusing like stakeholders, the main group, target group of the project are not teachers, but it focuses on water sports, different water sports. But we need to remember that teachers do many different things in their spare time and then in their free time. They're not only teachers, but they also maybe surf or they sail or they snorkel or they dive. So through water sports, that's also a way of engaging with local communities and also with schools and teachers. So through the Fins into the Water project, we also, and this one is really aiming at the Mediterranean. I didn't see the question in the chat, but I will then mention a little bit also this project. So here in this project, we developed, we actually made, let's say, database with many different ocean literacy resources regarding the Mediterranean Sea. And there's actually a map, and you can click on the map on different areas of the Mediterranean and check for different resources. So it's really useful not only for regarding water sports, but also for education. And it contains many different materials and resources related to ocean literacy. Also, through the project, we managed to, so before the project, any of these projects, the MC, European Marine Science Educators Association Network, has it's a roof organization and the main organization regarding ocean literacy in Europe. And in MC, we have regional groups, and Mediterranean group is one of them. So in recent years, we, in the MC Med, wanted to actually let's say to make ocean literacy concept closer to the Mediterranean Sea. And we adapted all of the ocean literacy content, its principles and concepts to the specificities of the Mediterranean Sea. And we've developed the Mediterranean Sea literacy. So the Mediterranean Sea literacy is kind of as the ocean literacy would be considered as the ABCs of the ocean, then this would be the ABCs of the Mediterranean Sea. And we had that, we developed a brochure, but at the beginning it was only in English. If you want to reach, of course, different public in different countries, you need to have resources that are in native languages. So we are now in the process of translating this brochure into all Mediterranean languages. So we have now I don't know, many, I don't know the number, but many different languages. We have Arabic, we have French, Italian, Greek, Croatian, Spanish, Catalan, French, all kinds of different translations. So we wanted to develop this and also to be a resource that not only general public can use, but it can actually also be something that can be used for teaching and in schools and so on. And also through this project, we developed some videos and infographics about Mediterranean Sea literacy principles. So all of this is actually can be used as a resource for teachers as well. So let's connect all of this with the citizen science. It was just like an overview of different educational initiatives that currently exist in the region and more. When we talk about citizen science, it's really today something that from the research and scientific community is let's say a novel topic, because it is finally we finally realized in the research community that this local knowledge of people having different experience over the decades is really something valuable, and we want to now reach to that knowledge. So I moved the slide, I hope you can see it. One of the examples of, let's say, citizen science projects which schools can actually do and students can do and teachers is acquiring that local ecological knowledge. There are a lot of work going on in the scientific community to reach out to that local ecological knowledge. That means that researchers are interviewing general public and even older people, because they have more life experience and more knowledge than the young ones as well, about environmental, the status of the environment, regarding fisheries, regarding biodiversity, how it used to be decades ago. So for schools, I really like the idea of and for teachers to engage with students in acquiring this local ecological knowledge through, let's say, students interviewing their grandparents, how it used to be when they were children. You know, like if you have a grandparent who is 80 years old, they can remember how it used to be 70 years ago and how that marine environment looked like. In this way, the children are actually acquiring knowledge about biodiversity in certain local community and getting actually the data, which then scientists also can use to get information about different topics. Marine litter is one of the topics that is really widespread, and it's quite, let's say, popular in school projects. But beach cleanup itself is not really something that is it's of course a good thing, but there is no scientific component in it. But if you go to the beach, you do the cleanup and you analyze what is found there following different protocols, you can also address and have that scientific approach also to teach the students, but also to gain some information and knowledge and collect some data about the materials, the amounts, the sources of marine litter, and all of that can be easily done by following different protocols that have been made especially for this purpose, so that general public can actually, through citizen science projects, collect the data about the types and quantities and sources of marine litter as well. BioBlitz is personally maybe one of my favorite activities, because so BioBlitz is let's say scanning of local small environment in very short time, let's say 10-15 minutes, where you take your students to a certain place and they try to identify as much as possible different species in that area. At the beginning, when I do this with kids, they always say like there may be 3 or 4 species. We very often find about 30, 40, even 40 ones. We found different species. And then they're really amazed by the biodiversity of their local environment. It's also a good way of tracking the status of some endemic species, of some protected species, and also a way of finding some alien species. Alien and invasive species are a huge problem in marine environment. So these kinds of projects can actually be citizen science projects for schools, teachers, and the kids, but they also contribute through their work. They contribute to collecting data about distribution and diversity of different species. There are a lot of different activities that can be done, but I wanted to share some of maybe most interesting ones, and those that are really, let's say, not complicated to do for teachers, but you provide children that scientific approach, and also you can collect data that can actually be used in the scientific perspective. So before I close up, I just wanted to say that it's very important regarding, as we are talking about ocean literacy as well, to provide teachers with materials and resources, but not only just give it to them, but also to teach and to show how to use these materials and resources, because otherwise it's only another piece of paper, let's say, that has been provided without actually giving the tools how to use it. So regarding the blue education, it really needs to be both top-down and bottom-up approach, because that is the only way that we can actually, I think, successfully do the change, make a difference, and really contribute to the SDGs, to improvement of marine environment and overall status of the ocean. So yeah, that was it. Thank you. Here's my contact. If you need to contact me, that's fine. I'm available. Be free to send an email. Thank you all.
Thank you, Melita. These projects are very interesting, especially for the ones who are from the Mediterranean region. Please make sure to follow these projects, and if you want to collaborate or take part in them. Ms. Eli Bonfil Molina from ProBlue Project is our next speaker. Eli is an oceanographer and science communicator with a master's degree in marine science. She is completing her master's degree in science communication as well. She is currently part of MBMO's research group at the Institut de Ciencias del Mar in Barcelona, where she coordinates the European project ProBlue. ProBlue promotes the creation of blue schools in Europe and associated countries. For years, Eli has been mobilizing marine citizen science projects and is currently working on the adaptation of the Minka platform for educational projects on sea and water in general. Eli is a member of the MC and the Catalan Association of Scientific Communication, among other entities in which she collaborates. Today, Eli will talk about funding opportunities for Blue Schools projects related to citizen science. Eli, I saw, I can share the presentation if you will.
I think I can.
Okay.
I have better connection now.
Great.
Yeah, I hope. Let me try. Okay. Do you see my presentation?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So thank you for inviting me I'm going to talk a little bit about ProBlue project, the project that I'm involved by now. It's a European Union funded project that started on June of 2023, and it will finish on May 2026. The idea of ProBlue is to expand and support the network of European Blue School. So we are trying to work with this idea to attract new members to the network, to increase the ocean and water literacy in schools around Europe, and also to contribute to the objectives of the mission, restore our ocean and waters by 2030, especially two of the objectives: to protect marine and freshwater ecosystems and biodiversity, and to prevent and eliminate pollution. So what we are doing is trying to mobilize and engage students and all school communities around this topic, and trying to attract the maximum of schools as possible to the network. With this idea, our aim is to facilitate school activities related to ocean and water literacy. And what we have planned is to do 4 funding calls to engage, to support school activities, school projects related to ocean or water, fresh water, to adapt and use existing tools that are developed in previous European projects or other projects that are going on now, and to create different tools to facilitate the growth of this network after the end of the project. So we are working very close with the European Network of Blue Schools. And we are 6 partners from different countries by the moment. 1 from Portugal, 1 from Lithuania, and 3 from the UK, and we that are in Spain. If you're not familiar to European Blue School or to a Blue School in general, it's a school that brings the ocean into the classroom. So they try to do project-based learning related to marine and maritime topics, to create this awareness, this connection to the ocean. In Europe, is coordinated by the EU-for-Ocean Coalition that create this network thanks to the support of the European Union. And by the moment, there are 245 different schools certified as a blue school in Europe, but this is increasing because there are two periods of application to be a blue school, a European blue school. One is from January to May, that recently closed, and they are receiving the certifications, and a second period that is from October to December. As you can see, by the moment, most of the blue schools are concentrated on the Mediterranean basin, but the idea is to increase it all over all the basins in Europe. If you want to know a little bit more about this network, you have this link here. And this is one part for the schools. They can be certified as a blue school from the network, but also they can apply for funding from ProBlue, from our project. What we want to do is to support the school projects that first engage students and teachers, educators, and the community around the school to work around ocean and water literacy and sustainability. The second idea is to develop new ideas that contribute to this objective of the mission from the schools, with the idea that the students have to be stewards of their surroundings, of the sea or fresh waters, the rivers, lakes that are around the school. And also the third idea is to support these schools or schools that want to be European Blue Schools, support them to apply to become a member or to renew their membership in this network. So primary and secondary schools can apply for our funding, including vocational schools. One of the important things is that the schools should be a legal entity to apply. They need a number, no, I don't remember now the identity number of this school. They have to be a legal entity, because depending on the country, this is not possible. So if in your country your school doesn't have that isn't a legal entity, we can try to find a way to help you to apply to our funds. We have 4 calls of funding, as I told you. Each call has like 3 kind of projects: small scale, that it's until 2,500 euros, the medium scale projects up to 5,000 euros, and the larger scale up to 10,000 euros. This is not related to the time that you do the project. This is related to the kind of project. Maybe you can do a project that only lasts 3 months, but it's a big project because you are going to engage a lot of people around you, and or because this project needs a big investment because you are gonna buy some equipment that it's expensive. So this can be a project that needs 10,000 euros. And on the opposite, there are projects that maybe will last 11 or 12 months, that doesn't need a lot of money to be done, and they only ask for 2,500 euros. So depending on the project, you can ask for less or more money. The minimum length of the project should be 3 months, the maximum 12 months. And schools receive the 80% of the money at the beginning with the contract signature, and the 20% at the end of the project when they send us the report. The only thing that we need at the end of the project is a report. We don't need the bills of the money spent, nothing complicated for schools. What we want to know is what they have done. We need pictures or links or and a report to demonstrate that they have done something in the school. With this money, the schools can pay trips, field trips, for example, or to take an expert of some topic to the school, so they can pay the accommodation and the subsistence of this expert. They can buy equipment, or they can rent equipment necessary for monitoring something, for example, some consumables, other kinds of work or services. They can subcontract experts or companies. Imagine that the school want to do a field trip that requires to do snorkeling, so they can subcontract a company experts on snorkeling to do this activity. But the maximum of the subcontracting part should be at maximum the 30% of the budget. So the idea is not to spend all the money on subcontracting. The idea is to spend the money on things that assure that the project will continue when the funding, the ProBlue funding, is finished. Okay, so what we want more is that you spend the money on buying equipments, on creating educational materials, translating educational materials, things like that. So with this money, you can do different activities. These are some examples, like data collection with citizen science kits, because in ProBlue, we are not the only project that will give these funds. We have 2 sister projects, as Melita told you, Blue Lights and Shore. They are going to offer funds like us, the same kind of grants. But the specificity of ProBlue is that we want that most of the projects are related to citizen science. So we are trying to motivate schools to do citizen science activities in their project, not It's not necessarily the whole project, but we try to motivate them to introduce the citizen science in their projects. You can do workshops, meetings, training, field trips, exhibitions, create teaching materials or research-based activities with some research centers or universities around you, artistic things or documentaries, competitions, and also training with other schools is very welcome. This is, imagine a school in the sea, a school near to a river that do a twinning project working on both topics, freshwater and sea. This is very interesting for us. And as I told you, we have 4 calls. We did the first one in November of last year. The second call was in March. The 8th of July, we're gonna say the results of the second call. So in September, we will launch the 3rd call. So now is the moment for schools to start thinking on which kind of project they can do, because we will support almost 30 projects in the call of September. And also we have a 4th call in March of 2025 that will support 20 different projects. By the moment the calls are open to all countries and to all the topics, but maybe for the 3rd and 4th call, we start to limit a little bit this, because what we want to do is to fund schools from all over Europe, not to concentrate all the funding on a small group of countries. So maybe we don't limit the countries that can apply, but we give like more points to some kind of countries that are not in our list by the moment. So we engage. We want to ask you, to motivate you to start to prepare your Blue School project. If you want to know a little bit more about the calls, you have it in our website. These are the last calls. So the 3rd call is not yet the information on the website, but you can send me an email and I can send you the information when I have it. And also you can also submit an application to be on our newsletter and to be informed of everything that is happening in ProBlue. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Ellie. I think it is crucial for our audience, especially for teachers who are with us, to find more about which funding opportunities are there for them to apply. Moving to our next speaker, Konstantinos Tsoukalas from WWF Greece. I'm happy to present Konstantinos to our webinar today. He was born in Karpenisi, a small city in the mountainous area of Greece. His postgraduate studies in environmental ecological engineering and his passion for the environment and nature conservation led him to join the team of WWF Greece in 2017 as Plastics and Waste Program Officer. He's currently leading WWF's Adopt a Beach initiative. This is a Mediterranean marine litter monitoring program that aims to contribute in the improvement of the ecosystem health of the Mediterranean Sea. So Konstantinos will now present us the initiative Adopt Beach. Please, Konstantinos, the floor is yours.
So, good evening, everyone. Thank you very much for this invitation. All the previous presentations were amazing. Really nice job. It was really, really nice to see all those beautiful things. So, from my side, I will try to present you WWF's Adopt a Beach project. It's a marine litter monitoring program based on UNEP-MAP's protocol Adopt a Beach. It's a citizen science program with many participants, and we will talk about that in a bit. So give me 1 minute to share my full screen. Excuse me for this. So I hope you can see my screen.
Yes.
So what is adopted bits? So let's start with what isn't adopted bits. Adopted bits is not a one-off bits cleanup activity. Someone mentioned that before in a previous presentation that bits cleanups can't be considered as a citizen science activity. So we're not talking about a single bits cleanup activity, but we're talking about a marine litter monitoring program with an emphasis on 3 focus countries of the Mediterranean: Turkey, Tunisia, and Greece. The project officially began in Greece in 2020, and now Tunisia and Turkey participate in the program, trying to, let's say, create a Mediterranean initiative in order to track plastic pollution in Mediterranean beaches. Adopted Beach aims to minimize plastic and coastal pollution through the collection of qualitative and quantitative data through a tested scientific procedure. As I mentioned to you before, Adopted Beach protocol of UNEP map. So some more information about WWF's Adopted Beach project. It is a citizen science program. Let's say that participants turned into scientists because they collect data from small samples of Greek, Turkish, or Tunisian beaches twice or 4 times per year. Voluntary teams such as schools, other volunteer teams, small businesses, etc., can participate in Adopted Beach project. The survey is taking place minimum twice per year, optimal 4 times per year in very specific periods. And the survey takes always place in the same 100-meter beach sample that a team has adopted. So we go frequently to the same 100 sample of the beach, and we start collecting all the waste, categorize them, write them down in the protocol of Adopted Beach, and finally upload all our data in the dedicated platform of Adopted Beach project. I will share you right now on the chat. Unfortunately, we only have an English landing page and 3 different websites, one in Greek, one in Tunisian, and one in Turkey, because the project takes place only on these 3 countries in terms of WWF. If you are keen on those languages, you are really lucky. But I can also share with you some Greek how-to guidelines information later on. So the main purpose of Adopted Beach project is to collect data that will be translated in order to help us tackle and track the problem of plastic pollution. So all the data produced by the teams are open and free for use by scientific organizations, universities, civil society, other NOs and NGOs, general public, etc. As I mentioned to you before, we try to prepare some policy briefs and some policy papers with all those data in order to, let's say, force the Ministry of Environment or other policy bodies in order to take action in order to tackle plastic pollution. We draft several reports analyzing current marine litter situation on national and Mediterranean level. And of course, we use it as an advocacy tool for municipalities to comply with proper waste management regulations. So I told you before that in this citizen science project, we're not talking only about volunteer teams and other teams, small businesses, etc., etc. We're talking also about schools. Schools participate in Adopted Beach project, sharing with us all those precious data from Greek, Turkish, and Tunisian beaches that they have been adopted by them. So in order to take part into this activity, you need also to have an educational package, an educational material, in order to understand on a theoretical level through a series of brief in-classroom activities the danger arising from plastic pollution, some meanings of the plastic pollution, life cycle of plastic, etc., etc. Become aware through hands-on experience of the role each one of us can play in the reduction of plastic pollution and its impact on the sea and the planet itself. change, of course, our behavior, because when we go to the beach, especially young children, young pupils go to the beach and start collecting and measuring items from 100 meters up, they definitely change their point of view on plastic pollution, or if they will use single-use plastics one more time. And of course, we have actively participate citizens that produce valuable data in order to create all these measures that we're trying to produce, so on. So far in the Mediterranean, we have 341 beaches adopted from more than approximately 300 teams. 500 recordings have been done, and hundreds of thousands of items have been collected. At least 80 primary and secondary schools implement the education activities and participate in the marine litter monitoring procedure in the citizen science project. So, as I also mentioned you before, some of the expected results of the program are the behavioral change regarding the single-use plastics through the citizen science activity, promotion of specific policy measures, data production, and engagement with pupils, public, general public, volunteer teams, and things like that. So I will spend my 3 last minutes in order to present you a short video. Last year, we have done a webinar in WWF in order to present Adopt a Beach project. So we thought it was really necessary to call a teacher from a really away island from Greece, Karpathos Island, which is somewhere here, you know, in the middle of the ocean, in order to present all the activities that they're doing with their high school. So I will play the video right now for 3 minutes.
Mentioned before, we're here in the region of Dodekanis. This is Karpathos. This is the small
Let
island.
me know if you can hear the sound.
And this is another map of this. And here is the region called Kipi Afiarti. It's the place where we adopted our beach. We decided to adopt this beach.
It is interrupted, Kostas.
Okay, 1 minute.
It's in the south part of Karpathos, very close to the airport. And this is the place I'm talking about. It's called Michailou Kipos Beach. The names here are really strange, how they name the beaches. And I have to say that our first impression was to search this program, Adopt a Beach, as a vocational school, and to find how we can participate in this and how we can do something, because our children are aged from 15 to 18. It's a difficult age to involve them in these initiatives, but we started saying something about the place, about the region here. Because we are in an island that in the summer it's full of tourists and people, but in winters it's really almost remote and isolated and difficult. And we need to motivate the people to do something. So we had an application, we applied for this, and this is our page. We are very proud of this because we all together with the children and 2 other colleagues that we work with it, we feel in what we do. Till now, we had only 1 attempt to go to our beach. Next week, we'll have the 2nd attempt. And I can present that this is our beach. It's really nice. The waters are really nice. They're blue, they're green. And in January, we thought that we would find nothing. But this is the beach. It's full of shells. It's really nice. Till now, I didn't have the opportunity to swim, but I think that it will be really nice next time. So we started with our children. We gathered, we talked, and we decided what we have to do. And it was really surprising for us that we found things. We gathered from every place of this beach, from the 100 meters that we had to gather. And we were surprised to find all these different and suspicious objects. So we found as you all said, cigarettes, many cigarettes, shoes, cosmetics, plastic lids, diapers, food boxes, ropes, bottles, wooden boxes, every kind of things. And we all said after that how could it be in winter to find so many different objects, and how we pollute our beaches. It was a period that nobody went there and nobody was polluting these areas. But we found, and these are our findings. We had artificial stuff, and we're really very. We want to know what we'll find next Thursday that we'll go, because many people start to come here and have their vacation, and we'll have different results. It was really very surprising for us to think that people want to leave something when they go to the beach, and what they leave is their abyss, and what we see after that. It was for us a surprise, a big surprise. Okay, this is what I had to do from this attempt, from the first attempt. Our next attempts will be, of course, they will give us other data.
So, and as you can see, we're talking about a quite simple procedure and activity where pupils can collect all the waste, write down and upload all their data. Everything is easy visualized on the website, as you saw on the diagram that Eric Bletsu presented in the webinar. And this is really interesting that young pupils and students can participate in such activities, and they can really help us with all those data collected. We can use them and we can see something change in the future. So if you live in Greece, Turkey, or Tunisia, I invite you to visit the websites. You can participate in the project, Adopt a Beach project. It's open, it's running. It's a self-sustained, let's say, platform, volunteer platform. We hope to see this project run for many, many years. And this is it from me. Really, really thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Konstantinos, and thank you to all of our speakers that shared their experience and their initiatives with us today. We will now have 5 minutes until our webinar ends, but if we have more questions that need to be answered, we could extend it for 10 more minutes. So please, if you have any questions, feel free to ask.
You can either put your hand up and we call it to speak, or you can write in the chat and I can read your questions if you want. You should take advantage that you have all of these amazing people with you here now, so don't miss the chance.
Susanna has her hand up.
Okay, Susanna, I don't
Yes.
see her. But...
I don't have a question, but if I can have 1 minute, I can just show you very quickly some activities that I believe are very connected from Blue Mission Med project, if it's possible, because we are. Yeah, thanks. So I will very, very quickly share my presentation. So just since I believe that could be interesting, what we are doing in Blue Mission Med, we are organizing a series of activities to promote the same topics, basically through several large-scale events, as you can see here. So we have several cards for ocean literacy, and we are really doing many activities in all the Blue Mission Med countries. We are also helping the kids to play through hands-on labs like this fish lab, in which they have to build fishes using rubbish, basically mainly plastic rubbish, because we want to convey the message if it is plastic, what we want instead of fishes. And other quizzes, games like this is an escape game to learn about the microplastic and the behavior of microplastic and where it impacts in the sea. And finally, we have this book for kids that we are now about to deliver. And we believe that this book can be really valuable if we find an agreement with several projects that I've seen today, because maybe we can provide you this book for the schools. And since it is inside a project, it will be, I mean, a good collaboration for all of us. I didn't want to steal a lot of time, so I just close here my sharing.
Thank you, Susanna. This is amazing. I think that all the resources we can share with educators is fantastic. I see lots of bridges between all the projects that were presented here today, and I hope that if the speakers don't already know each other, that they do start conversations, and with us as well. Does anyone else have a question?
We have a few questions in the chat, so maybe 3 questions, then we can turn to you, school. Okay, we can first have the raised hand, and then we will answer.
Yeah, hi, thank you so much for your presentations. I am coming from a different background. My project is on food, but it's always related, because it's related to schools. The approach is very similar. I just wanted to ask, because many of you have contact with schools trying to incorporate citizen science in schools, how do schools react when you're talking to them about citizen science? Because citizen science is something more than activities. It's also collecting data, maybe publishing data that the kids collect. How do you approach the teachers so that they are engaged in this kind of a different approach in data collection, publishing data, and especially because they are minors, you have to get informed consents and all these kinds of practicalities. Are there any tips? Thank you.
Does anyone want to answer from our speakers? No? Okay, well, I can share from the experience we have in many projects with schools and education, not just citizen science, that the education community, well, you can start by seeing that there's 91 people in this webinar. So educators are very willing to innovate and to bring new projects into their classrooms. I think that what is really necessary is to provide them the support. It's not the consent. That's not a problem, because they are, I think, very used to. Please correct me if I am wrong. I think those are boring things that we all have to do all the time now. But what's really necessary is to arrange collaborations with partners, be it us or other people, to support them, because they are already very motivated. I think Melita wants to answer.
Hi. Yeah, I think they're all, I mean, this is something that, as with everything else, they're always enthusiastic individuals. You know, you come with the idea, and then there's like 90% of them looking at you like, what is she talking about? And then there's this one or two persons which are really like, this sounds interesting, I could do this, you know. And then you make this connection, or it's personal connection with somebody. Personally, I feel like everything that I've done in this field is through personal connections, like by knowing different people, and then, you know, they know somebody, and then I have a friend working in school, and then they, you know, spread the word, and then there are like 5 other teachers in that school that want to do something. So it's, you know, there is like official approach, and then there's which is in many cases less functional and less successful than the personal connections that you actually have. I think that's in most cases how it, when it's a successful story, in most cases it's like that, I think.
Okay, thank you. Yeah.
In our case, we are trying to promote the use of Minka platform that somebody posted also on the chat. That it's a marine and coastal biodiversity citizen science platform. And when we talk with the schools, they are motivated, but it's not easy for them sometimes to go to the field to collect data. Maybe the topic it's motivating, but they have problems to go out of the school to collect data. So what we are doing now is trying to organize for autumn several co-design sessions with teachers to find a way on how to create different citizen science projects from different approaches, for people that can go to the field and collect data, but also for people that cannot go, schools that cannot go to the field to collect data, but they can analyze the data collected for citizen science volunteers, for example. We have developed a program to analyze this data. So we are thinking on prepare some kind of teaching materials to teach them on how to analyze data with the students.
Yeah.
We're trying to look for this other way of approaching to citizen science. No? It's not always necessary to be the data collectors.
Yeah.
And also they can be mobilizers, no? Organized by obliques, for example, and involve the whole community, the families that are around the school. And maybe it's easy to go out to the beach to collect data if you go with your family than not with your class, for example.
Okay.
Can I also give you just a final advice? I think the best people for you to ask what they need is the actual educator. So sometimes asking them what they need and how they want to be involved is the best. It may differ from country to country. So this is always the best approach.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. We have a question in the chat to Ellie, I guess. Serugo Stuart wants to know if African schools can participate in the call, or which African schools can.
Only some of them that are in the Mediterranean part that have some I don't know the word now, some arrangements with the European Union. I have posted it in the chat, but I will post it again. There is a list of schools that of countries that are associated countries to Europe that have some kind of arrangements. So I will post it again. For example, Tunisia is one of them. I will post it now again.
Okay, do you have more questions on the chat, Aida?
Yes, we do. There is one from Margarita da Coruña. She asks, is there any platform with a school with approval projects to find partnerships? I guess it's still related to the call, right?
I suppose this might be a question for Ellie. Yes.
Can you repeat again, please? I was posting.
Is there any, sorry, is there any platform with schools for approval projects? They want to find partnerships if any project lists are available.
Related to Blue Schools, you can send an email to the network of European Blue Schools, and they can connect you with other Blue Schools, for example. And also there is a European twinning platform, and there you can look. I can try to look for the link and try to post it. It is just specific for twinning.
One
Okay,
more question
questions,
about, sorry, one more questions about e-twinning. from Tassos Kinis. Can there easily be a combination of e-twinning, Blue School, and possibly WWF beach adoption?
Yeah, in fact, it's perfect because the school or two schools can do a twinning project in partnership with the WWF to implement the Adopt a Beach and ask for pro-blue funding. So it's perfect. And it's nice also for the NGOs because they can be subcontracted and receive a little bit of money of this funding.
And also the participation in Adopt a Beach project is open for each school in each one of the 3 countries running right now the project. Italy is going to participate this year on Adopt a Beach project, so the countries are getting a little bit bigger right now. But I think if there is a WWF office or WWF network on your country, then you can get in touch with them, talk to them about Adopt a Beach project, and try to, find out the way on how to participate because it's quite easy.
Okay.
Great. I guess this is our capacity to extend the time of the webinar. Thank you for all.
Can I say a few words, Aida? Sorry,
Yes, sure,
before you
sure.
close, I just want to highlight what Garabet also wrote in the chat. We will have the summer school with teachers starting next week in Greece with gathering teachers from several countries. But this is not all the activities. As I mentioned, we will have teacher training courses. We will have pilot activities. So please, if you want to participate and have access to citizen science campaigns, resources, support, training, materials, register in the link that I will put now again on the chat. And my colleague Geoffrey is going to add here the link for you to register if you want to receive a certificate of participating in this webinar. And I think this is it. I just want to thank again the amazing talks from everyone. They were very enlightening. I think that a lot is happening in the world of education. We have lots of interested educators, lots of interested people wanting to contribute to education. So it's a bright step ahead, I think. Aida, sorry, you can go now.
I would also like to thank our participants for joining us. I hope you got many interesting hints on how to be funded, what initiatives to join, what are there about ocean literacy, etc. So stay tuned on the different projects and channels, and good luck and thank you for joining us. Also, I would like to thank our speakers that shared their experience and dedicated their time for today to our webinar.
Thank you for inviting.
Thank you.
For the people that mixed up the times, it's okay. We will have the recording on our website in a few days, okay? You can go and check the recording.